What is up, YouTube fam? I'm out in the parking lot waiting on my wife to grab some eggs because we don't have no chickens. I got some Freedom Meat gear on, and the Freedom Meat Teespring store is still up. They actually allowed the Moms Demand Action shirt up. I don't know what happened. Maybe all them emails and shit and phone calls that Christy made worked, because at first they wouldn't allow it, and now it's up. So I ordered one. TLR ordered one. And if y'all want one, you should order one too, because I don't know how long they're going to be up. The Moms Demand Action shirt with the stripper on the pole. It's awesome. There was rumor that Biden is going to be creating executive orders, and they're trying to create these executive orders in a way that they can't be changed or rescinded or repealed or trumped or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Yes and no. Constitutionally, no, it doesn't matter. The president has no power to create an order that you have to follow as an individual in this country. But the big scheme of things, everybody believes that he has this power now. They've given so much power to the presidency and put so much emphasis in it that they have created the problem through compliance, through believing that, not only compliance, but believing that he has this power when he really doesn't. I keep hearing people say, I will not comply. Okay, what does that mean? What does non-compliance mean to you? Does it mean that you hide your rifle in your closet and nobody knows about it and it stays there for the next 20 years, and you hide your few thousand rounds of ammo so nobody can find it? That kind of non-compliance doesn't work. If you want to not comply and strap a rifle to your chest and go put it in their face and say, I will not comply, that's non-compliance that'll work, but it will only work on a large scale. The problem with this, people are afraid of what? What are people afraid of? Why don't people do this? Because they're afraid of getting in trouble. They're afraid of going to jail. They're afraid of losing their job, their home, not see their kids, their wives, and yada yada yada, or even potentially dying. Why do they fear that? Who do they fear? Well, the police forces. Why? The politicians are the problem. If Joe Biden is the problem, why do we fear the police forces? They've really it was genius the way it was done, and it took a long time, but they have created a situation where the oppressed praise their oppressors. It's like that syndrome, battered women syndrome. You know, the wife gets punched in the mouth by the husband, and her excuse is, oh, he loves me, he didn't mean it, and she stays with him. It's the same thing. The police oppress us. They execute the rule of those in power, and we blame those in power instead of where the blame lies, which is at the feet of the police who execute the rules. But they've tricked us into believing that these people are heroes. And I've heard people call them heroes. Personally, I can't help but get a little grin every time I see that one of them dies. And there's a special place in hell for each and every one of them. Each and every one of them. Maybe with the exception of somebody that joins the policing forces believing that they are going to do some good in their community, and immediately they quit because they figured out what it really is. It's a gang. They started out as gangs in the late 1830s. They were gangs, literally street gangs, and that's where the policing forces came from. Throughout history, all tyrannical governments have one thing in common. They have multiple things in common, but one thing that is that tyrannical government, if without this thing, tyrannical governments would not be possible. Does anybody know what that is? Force. Men willing to commit immoral acts in exchange for payment. Mercenaries. That's what they are. They may not say they're mercenaries, but if you don't do as you're told, they'll murk your ass. So they're mercenaries, like it or not. People don't recognize it. They don't want to recognize it. They want to keep pointing the fingers, as I said, at Nancy Pelosi or at Donald Trump or at whoever. And if you look back throughout history of all the tyrannical governments, another thing they have in common is it's called tyrannical governments. Government. It's not tyrannical this side of the government, or tyrannical that side of the government, or tyrannical Supreme Courts, or tyrannical presidents. It's tyrannical government. It's one animal, because the animal works together. Without the small parts of the animal, the large part couldn't become tyrannical. So it's all tyrannical. And for you people who are placing your bets on the Supreme Court for whatever Biden does, tricky, no good. I heard another comment today. Well, thank goodness Trump put all these constitutionalist judges in place in the federal court system. That's not true at all. None of them are constitutionalists. If they were, they wouldn't be judges in the court system. Our country was designed in a way so that it was supposed to be maximum individual liberty, minimal government. And the reality of things is that the way it's supposed to work, there's really supposed to be no laws against the people, restricting the people. Because if you have your rights, obviously, you have all the immunities and privileges in one state as you do the many. What that means is that Alabama, as an example, can't create a law that would restrict my privileges or negate my immunity if I can do that same thing in Ohio. And the Supreme Court's supposed to come in and strike those laws down and keep maximum individual liberty, minimal government. But through mostly ignorance, and I don't even know what you'd call the part of people that want to rule over the other people, that's been done away with. The first time you create a law saying you can't do this, what that does is it creates a snowball effect and more laws come into place. It started with, well, you can't have a full auto. Oh, well, you can't have a short-barreled rifle. Well, you can't have a short-barreled shotgun. It doesn't matter. Who cares what you have? If you're either moral or immoral, and they've created a situation where we can't win. And we could win, but we can't win. But here's why we're not going to win. Because people care, and I've said it before, people care, number one, too much about their own lives. They care about other people too much. If somebody can't ensure their own survival, I don't care about them at all. If they fall off the face of the earth, more power. That's awesome. Get them out of the gene pool. Because you're creating a welfare state, and that's what they're actually really, really pushing right now. A socialist, or we're really going into communism. We're leaving socialism now. But it's a welfare state. You're relying on the government to ensure your survival. I've said it before, and it's you can look it up as fact. 80% of all crime is committed by, we're talking about real crime. Beating somebody up for no reason, stealing their shit, whatever it is. Real crime comes from the lowest 20% on an economic scale. So the 20% that make the lowest amount of money, they create 80% of the crime. Well, then of course we need these police forces to keep them from committing the crime. At the same time, those same forces force us to pay taxes in order to ensure that 20% survival. It's a scam, and people buy into it. And then they're worried about those people. Don't worry about those people. They'll figure it out or they'll die. And that's on them. Life's not as precious as people believe it is. And not as an adult anyway. I won't say that for children. I think that adults have a responsibility to take care of their children and know how to take care of their children in all situations. I made a video for Patreon yesterday about my neighbor. It was kind of interesting. I've never seen somebody shake the shit out of a kid so hard in my life. I'm surprised it didn't kill the girl. The little girl turned out to be okay. But it's ever on Patreon. I'll probably release it here in a few weeks over here. But anyway, don't stress about it, guys. Definitely don't think that putting your rifle in your closet is not complying, because it is. You're not exercising your rights because you fear your government. That's a fact. So what do we do? How can we solve this problem? Complete noncompliance. And when I say noncompliance, I mean true noncompliance. You set a date, you have a march, everybody armed, and you go from there. It's not going to turn out pretty. It will definitely be ugly. It would probably be the start of World War III, to be honest with you. But, what other options do we have? I'm not going to be ruled over. It's a matter of time before they come kicking on my door for no reason. We don't even do anything wrong. I know there's a bullet out there with my name on it, and I'm fine with that. When you fear nothing, you really have nothing to lose. And I think that death is the greatest fear of most people. And I lost the fear of death a long time ago. Slavery would be far worse. Even now, even the position we're in now, we have people running our lives. They like to dark. I mean, 24/7. They take your money. They call it law. They take your money, and they extort your money. You pay them. You pay them so they don't bring down the reign of the federal government on your ass, or the state government, whatever it may be. And people are just going about their lives. They don't even notice. Most people don't even notice these things. They don't care. They're comfortable. They're comfortable in ignorance. That, excuse me, that little phrase, ignorance is bliss. I would guarantee the guy that created that phrase figured it out. He figured the game out. In this case, ignorance is bliss, but it's really not. It is in the sense that you're not aware of what's going on. It's not in the sense that because you don't know what's going on, you're part of the problem. But if you think non-compliance is sticking your rifle in your closet, that's called hiding. It's called being scared. It's called being a bitch.